Maitso Khaone and the entire Masire family, Your Majesty King Letsie, Your Majesty the Queen, Your Excellency President Mugabe, Rebatsu Tengwana, Rebatsu ona le ho thasela gore mente ya gagwe ka me ke bua ka sekgowa about elephants that raid his constituency. Rebatsu comes from the northeast part of Botswana, and today I'm very happy that President Mugabe has admitted and owned up to the fact that those elephants that are in your constituency, this was Zimbabwe. This was Zimbabwe. So instead of coming to me and complaining, I will allow you to go and visit President Mugabe in his country. You'll go by air and you will fly economy class. Your Honor, the Vice President, Masisi, and Mrs. Masisi. Nya khosi kholo malope haridumela hore Masisi o itse go tshameka ball. Hala bona hore maloba ke nna helo yona gora. The Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, Re Ramaphosa, Lewana writes, so I hope you will comply with SADC, where we try to do everything together. So you should change from being Deputy President to being Vice President, because that name we are not used to in SADC. But when you become President, you can change it. Mutsakwa. The Deputy Prime Ministers from Lesotho and Swaziland, if they are here, I'm not sure if they are here. Your Lordship, the Chief Justice, the Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, Your Excellencies, former heads of state and government, Your Excellency Remochai, Mbeki, and your good wife, Nujoma, Gubuza from Mozambique, Banda, and Ohamba, and our former Vice President Ketumile, Khosi Malope, and for the other distinguished guests, let me just say, protocol observed, Gyaludumedi Sakapula. The honors policy, which states that we honor our leaders after they have departed, was formulated by cabinet when Kwelohove was a minister in that cabinet. But obviously he has forgotten, because he was preoccupied with trying to get an increase in salaries for the politicians. So that is something which obviously we are going to do. In fact, only yesterday, I was discussing it with Re Botsalun Toani, I don't know if he's here, who is my witness, where we said that Here. Ish, Saperianto. So, Rembeki, you thought you were the only ones who had a communist party in this region, but apparently we do too. And I said that at the next meeting of cabinet, he's my witness. I was going to put to the cabinet and invite them for proposals as to where would be the appropriate place that we could name after Ketumile Masire. So that one is in that. Yano mokwena malome o tswa go nsenyetsa ka go ntsha sephiri sa rona. And where the roads cross, but we'll go back to the crossroads. Re go bata tsela e thamaletse. Me ke tla tsamaya le wena. It is always difficult being the last speaker and trying not to repeat what has already been said, especially during such an occasion when we are laying to rest one of our founding fathers of this great republic. So many good things, great achievements and life stories have been said. Let me, from the outset, on behalf of the government and people of Botswana, convey to the bereaved Masire family our heartfelt condolences and sympathies. Let me also take this opportunity to thank all Botswana for their messages of condolences and sympathies to the family, for their continuous daily prayers for them, as well as paying their respects when Rahaone was lying in state in Gaborone at Parliament, and also here in Kanye, and also to the members of the Botswana Defence Force who have presided over Rahaone ever since his passing. And I'd also like to thank all those who participated at yesterday and today's events. All this accounts for a very dignified send-off. I'd also like to thank all the speakers at yesterday's memorial service, and also for those today, for reliving an account of a life that is to be celebrated. Because indeed, we should not just be mourning, we should also be celebrating his life. However, yesterday there was one speaker, but he said something that ke monana onare Rahaone ene le homeboy ya gagwe a kgona go tsena mo bedroom ya gagwe a sa re koko. So to the Masiri family, ke a mo kopa mo go lona for 3 months ke mo isa go sesoleng gore ba kanya so rota tswa bua sente ka bagolo. And today we heard from Eno talking about the farming and politics. I don't know if you had anything to do with the fortunes of the Conservative Party recently in the UK. But be that as it may, if anyone ever asks you again, or you hear someone saying, what have Africans done for the world? You should say to them, what have Africans not done for the world? Because we have done a lot. I would also like to take the opportunity to thank all the dignitaries here who have come from other countries. We are sincerely touched by your presence and your support to the family and to the nation of Botswana. And we would also like to express to those who are not here, who have sent their condolences either by word of mouth or in writing, to the nation and to the family. We are really moved by your thoughts and your prayers. And finally, I'd like to thank all those who worked with Rakhaone. Some have been mentioned here today. His private secretary, Re Tloyo, Re Malazi, le ba bangwe, for having looked after Rakhaone since he left office. So it is with a profound sense of loss that we today mourn the passing of former President Sir Ketumile Masere, who was one of the founders of our nation at independence and our democratic journey. As Vice President and Minister of Finance and Development Planning for 14 years, as well as President for 18 years, that's almost 4 terms. My father did 14 years, which was about 3 terms. Rakhaone did 18 years, almost 4 terms. And then something happened. Remohai did 10 years. Now I'm going to do 10 years. So, kare right so Remohai, but it's 80 right so kare. So it's going down. So be careful, Remasisi. Maybe we're about 5 years. So Ketumile's legacies go beyond our borders, as we have heard. During his tenure, he played a key role, as we were informed by former President Mbeki and President Mugabe, as one of the leaders of the frontline states in the liberation of our region from colonialism by the apartheid regime in South Africa and the Rhodesian rebel regime. And of course, we shouldn't forget the Portuguese who had colonized Angola and Mozambique. 2 of our former leaders, as we have heard, Sir Khama and Sir Ketumile Masere, were leaders during that troubled time. But they resisted pressure from these 2 regimes who constantly threatened us with their economic and military power to stop allowing freedom fighters, members from the liberation movements, and pro-democracy activists from entering Botswana. And these were threats that they did, in fact, carry out. However, based on our long-standing principle for upholding human rights, we did not give in then, nor shall we give in now. We will not be bullied and intimidated by anyone to abandon these principles. We have heard from speakers yesterday and today about Rakhaone's life. What stands out for me from what they have said and what I remember of him was his passion for farming, for politics and the BDP, for his family. We remember his laugh, we remember his humor, and of course his devotion to this nation and its people. So if you were to ask yourself, between politics and farming, what do you think he liked the most? For the answer, I would refer you to this picture. Here, there's another picture over there. And I think from what we have heard today, that I think was something which was so close to him. He probably would like to have taken that statue of that beast into his bedroom with him. He felt so passionate about farming. That would have stopped people barging into his bedroom without knocking. Another example of what he was was I received an email expressing condolences from someone overseas who I know well. And I quote, and he said, "Dear Ian," that's me. "Last Friday, I learned about the passing of Sir Ketumile Masire and send you hereby my condolences. As you may be aware, he was my boss for 2.5 years when I was in the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, and he the VP and Minister of Finance. He was a wonderful person to work for, highly motivated, focused, a person who loved his country. He also had a sense of humor. He appeared a modest man, as well as a wise and grassroots politician. He was a great partner to Sir Seretse, and the two made a formidable team in more ways than one." End of quote. But there was another partnership that I believe made a formidable team. And that was the partnership between Rahaone and Mahaone. And I was not able to speak at her funeral. I don't mean that I was prevented from speaking, no. But I just want to pay tribute to her because she was such a wonderful and lovely person. And she really reached and touched many people's hearts, not only those of the family. So to her, they have this saying that I don't necessarily subscribe to, that behind every successful man but I think in his case, it was really relevant because Mahaone was certainly a pillar of strength, not only for Rahaone, but I believe even for the family. My fondest memories. I served under President Masire whilst I was in the BDF, the whole time he was president. My fondest memories with him was when I toured with him regularly as he was our Commander-in-Chief around BDF operational areas. There was one incident which I've been debating whether to remind Carter about, but although he wasn't there. At one of these bases, it was in the Okavango area, and you heard from President Mugabe that the Okavango is an area which has a lot of water. Some of our operations we conducted, the BDF conducted on horseback, because the water is so deep, vehicles cannot go through. So I'd taken him to one of our camps to show him where we kept the horses and the training we did with soldiers. And then as we were there looking at the horses and everything, this silly captain comes along and he says, would the president like to ride one of the horses? And before President Masire could answer, I said, no, he doesn't want to ride any horse. But knowing him,